We can say that B has both X and Y as mother. ठीक है ना? So, but again axiom 6 says that X and Y are identical. ठीक है, X and Y are identical by axioms. So this, if you look at the second axiom, it says that, I mean, from that second axiom we can draw the conclusion that X and Y are identical. But in the sixth already we have said that X and Y cannot be identical, है ना? So this met into the inconsistency. So this what meant by the inconsistencies. So next, coming to the decision problem, let's say this theorem is called the Fermat's last theorem. So this theorem is very recently in 2007 itself has been proven. So it already 100 and how when this was defined in 1900. So 110 years it took to be settled. So this if you take n equal to 2, it will be very much like Pythagoras. ठीक है ना? But this theorem is for n greater than 2, I mean greater than equal to 3. So it starts from 3 onwards, and all x, y, z and n are all integer numbers. ठीक है? So he was looking for whether this will, I mean this solution, such kind of solution exists or not. But Hilbert was looking for a decision problem. So Hilbert was trying to develop a program. That program, if you give this equation, should tell me yes or no. So which means that if he finds the solution, he should tell yes. If he does not find the solution, he should tell me the no. But it must be infinite number of operation. It means that it should somewhere it should stop and tell me the answer. But this is a nature of the problem. But history is like this. This problem has nobody could able to solve this problem. This looks very simple actually, just 4 variable. But it took 107 years. In fact, this guy, this is from Princeton. He is a very great mathematician. I mean, become very well known after solving this equation. So it took 7 rigorous years to solve this equation, and finally he came to that solution does not exist. Okay, I mean you cannot solve for n greater than equal to 3. So there is no such value for x, y, z, and for which can satisfy this thing, है ना? And there is very interesting story behind this also. So it is a 106-page proof, that one proof itself. So and the way that guy got idea is also very interesting. Once he is taking the tea with one of his friend, and suddenly he got the ideas that okay, this can be proven like this. So there are some of the very interesting phenomena that goes. So I was thinking whether same thing can be done also by computer or not. Okay, and there is $1 million prize also for this problem actually. So there is one professor. So he has so his challenge was that whether we can develop a program, which can verify. I mean, he is not about the proving, which can verify what Andrew did, whether what Andrew did was correct or not. Now, that program has to be developed. It's a very more than Nobel Prize amount actually. So this is a decision problem. Okay. So now coming to our core of the talk. So axiomatic mathematical system, the second problem. Okay, we will start from the second problem. So for how many minutes I have to talk actually? I can talk, right? Okay. So yeah, I am happy to do that. So okay. So this let's say this is the second theorem, ठीक है ना? So actually this theorem, from this theorem what we are going to tell is what this Gödel, I mean Gödel, I think by this time the first talk itself was on the Gödel. So but what professor was talking about the ontological argument based on the model logic system. However, here it's about the incompleteness theorem. So basically what it does, I mean what he proved is, if you take any mathematical system, it cannot be consistent and complete together. I mean both cannot happen at a time. So if the system is consistent, then it has to be incomplete. And if you want to make the incomplete system to a complete, then you have to add something else actually. You are saying that, and that process of adding something else will make you to, I mean make you to go infinite loop. That's the basic conclusion from this. And so the thing is that he has taken the state, I mean he has taken a mathematical axiom, so he applied it in actually number system. So he could able to construct, so this is by his construction, he could able to construct the statement like this. So if F is a kind of formal system and G is a kind of Gödel statement which is constructed by Gödel, and this statement goes like this sentence is not provable in F. This statement is like this, ठीक है ना? So now if you let's say prove this statement, if you prove this statement, this automatically this both of the things actually happens. F proves GF and F also does not prove GF. So this again proves the inconsistency of the system. Now if you wanted to break the inconsistency of the system, then you have to add some more axioms into this mathematical system. And so but Gödel says that if I add more axioms, then again I can construct similar kind of statement which again proves that this is again inconsistent. So that's the kind of conclusion of this. Acha. So that's the one part, ठीक है ना? We'll hold it for the here. So I have taken this analogy, but this does not have any relationship with the hygiene. I mean this one, whatever Schrodinger's thing. So this true and false, I mean the two simultaneous thing cannot happen. So this guy is inconsistent in the kind of formal system. Maybe in the quantum system it might be true, but it is not in the the classical system. So this is another person, ठीक है? Turing. Turing, I think he is the kind of the guy who started the theoretical computer science. So he built the foundation of the theoretical computer science, ठीक है? So he started, and actually there is a history that he is actually not really born in India, but their parents were working in India in the British time, and he was conceived in India, that too particularly in Orissa. So okay, so his work was also to solve the Gödel's 10th problem, ठीक है? 10th problem of the Gödel. Sorry, the Hilbert's 10th problem. So Hilbert's 10th problem was that we wanted to construct an algorithm or program. So this guy says that, all right, what do you mean by program? How you define the program? Okay. So he first gave the definition of the program, and as a result of the definition, he constructed a Turing machine. Okay. So this is a Turing machine. So in order to find out what exactly mean by program. So program here I mean computation. Okay. Computation and program I mean the same thing. And he applied that in order to, but he was also interested to solve ultimately the 10th problem of that, and he applied it to a where it is here, first order logic proposition, and he found that, so conclusion is that he found that there is this, if you apply the Turing machine in order to prove that whatever we show it in the previous in the Gödel's thing, so he said that your program never stops, it will run for infinite time. Okay. So which means that if your program runs for infinite time, so the decision problem which is supposed to give the result yes or no, that you will not be able to say, which means that you don't know whether the particular statement has got a truth value of true or false. So this problem is called actually undecidable problem, because you are not able to assign either any of the truth value, whether it's a true or false. Okay. So this problem is called undecidable problem. And undecidable problem in turn has got the problem of called halting, but this halting problem is particularly related to the computation of the program or Turing machine. So which means that your Turing machine does not stop to answer this. Okay, na? So it is very much like, this is a cartoon analogy I have given here. So this is a guy who is carrying the cart, and there is a food hanging over here. So this guy will always be chasing this, and the wheel will remain moving again. I mean never. So this does not stop. So so this is a undecidable problems which shows the limitation of the computing machine. Okay. Your computing machine does not stop, thereby you cannot conclude what exactly the result is. Okay. So that is the thing given by the Turing, and this is where the Turing and Gödel both of them met. Yeah. So the this is what I told you, that this is the Gödel thing. What he did is, so I have got a formal system F, then so because of the inconsistency I will try to add a additional axiom called C. So by adding the additional axiom called C, I could construct a new formal system F dash, but Gödel says that what if I construct G of F dash, the new Gödel statement. Then he says that all right, I will construct another axiom C double dash, and so I can have another formal system, but Gödel says again I can construct another Gödel statement using this formal system, and thereby probably you will end up in infinity. So it will continue constructing and you will never achieve the consistent and complete system. Okay. So because of that, probably this Turing machine is not able to halt, because he will be always adding something, again constructing something, adding something, constructing something. So it will run forever. So thereby Turing machine never halts. So what is the reason for this? Okay. So the reason is actually it's historical. So why this repeated iteration is taking place? So there is something called liar's paradox. Okay. This is, I think most of us knows this. Liar's paradox says that I am lying. This is a statement made by Russell, I think. So I am lying. So if this statement is, this statement itself is contradicting with each other. With itself. Okay. So when you say, in fact, myself also a little bit confused about this statement, but it says this: I am lying. Let's say it has got truth value true, है ना? If this statement is true, but you itself are saying you are lying, so how you can assign a truth value to true? So again, there also you get a contradiction. But let's say if you are saying this statement is false, है ना? False, but the very fact that you are saying I am lying, that is true actually. So the false statement also you cannot assign. So in that way, it is saying that this is a kind of self-referential system, and probably that's the reason why this Turing machine is not halting. So the beauty is that this Gödel could able to see this thing. This is a very old thing, but Gödel could able to see this thing in a mathematical system, है ना? And furthermore, the Turing could able to construct a program that itself actually is behaving in this self-referential system. So that's the connection that I could understand, but maybe probably better understanding that. In fact, I could not able to read the complete paper of that. So that's the thing. Okay. So and here this guy is saying I am in paradox. So this is what is the thing. So this is the reason. So but I'll give you some examples. But this is the reason where this is how. So from this two theorem we saw that there is a limitation of this the machine. Okay. But this is again this Fermat same theorem. So but these are the theorem which has already been proven by human being. Okay, na? Andrew Wells has already established the proof. But if you try to solve this with the computer, okay, because this guy does not have any solution, so computer will be ever running for this, because he does not know whether this has solution or not. So it will run forever, and thereby it does not halt. So this again leads to an undecidable problem. Okay. So the thing is that human being could able to prove it, to say that this guy does not have solution, whereas computer could not. Okay, at least current status. Maybe in future we could able to develop, but it's a very toughest job. That's what they say. Microsoft is doing a lot of work on that. So this is the one example. Similar example is their Lagrange 4 square theorem. So Lagrange what wanted to do, what he showed is that every number can be expressed in terms of square of the 4 numbers, sum of the square of the 4 numbers. So what we are asking here is, can the machine find out a number which cannot be expressed in this way? Okay. So this again actually goes into the infinite loop kind of things. So thereby computer does not stop, and thereby, so the point here we are making is computer is beaten by the human mind. So that's the whole idea in terms of the mathematical thinking. Okay. So that's the first part of the talk. So that's the one conclusion I am drawing from this talk. Okay. The second, okay, this is the just to give you the perspective, and all the modern computers started from the von Neumann. He was a mathematician and quantum physicist, and he was a genius actually, wonderful genius. At the age of 21, he published actually first paper. So actually still I am struggling to get one paper, but this guy has published the very early age. and so he was a very different kind of person actually. So he gave the current model of the computer science, computer and architecture. Okay? So this is called stored program approach. Whatever currently iPhone, this, that, whatever you are using, is basically based on this model. So this is a very simple model though, but later on it has been proved that whatever Turing has developed, the theoretical Turing machine, no? So that's equivalent to this only. Okay. So there are other computational model as well, but I am not talking about that right here. No? So then, so here this is a slide I wanted to see that then what is the mind. So exactly mind is doing something maybe wonder. Okay, so let's try to understand something about the mind. So the Penrose is a physicist in Oxford. Of course, he does mathematics as well. So he is trying to understand what exactly mind is from the sign. So he says that there is something like metaphysical world. So he is trying to find out what exactly is, but I don't know what are the current work he has done. So this is the thing, but I will not be talking about much about this. So he also tries to do something quantum mechanics to find out the nature of the mind exactly. So he tried to model it, what the function of this. So and I think Vedic literature has given very good amount of information, but right now I will be not talking about it. In fact, Bhagavad Gita itself has lot of information about the mind. So that's the first part of my talk, and this is the second part of my talk where I'll be talking about the creative thinking. Okay, na? The human mind could able to create something whereas computer could not. Okay, so this is the talk. So this is a very simple thing we have been doing from the childhood. It's a matrix multiplication. But in computer science, what we do is we try to break up this bigger matrix in the smaller matrix, what we call the divide and conquer algorithm. So this is a 4 cross 4 matrix. We do into 2 cross 2. So if I got 4 sub matrices A, B, C, D, and for this I got E, F, G, H, and what I got this resultant matrix will be in this way. Okay, na? This is very simple to understand. So this is a matrix multiplication algorithm standard, and this takes the total amount of time. Actually, it takes the 64 operation. So it's the 4 cube, 4 to the power 3, which is 64. 64 operation it takes. Okay, in generic it takes the n cube. So big of n cube. Now it takes the big of n n cube operation. So, but till 20 years, actually nobody could able to find faster algorithm than this, better algorithm, which could take the lesser time in terms of number of computation. So the surprising thing is this one. So the Strassen, they is still alive. He is German, computer science. He does mathematician also. This is also another person, wonderful person. He did degree in physics, degree in psychology, degree in music, then in mathematics, then in computer science. So he has a wide spectrum of area. So the beauty, beauty is this guy tells it's a mysterious. So the beauty is that he could able to construct this 7 equation. Okay? 7 equation, S1, S2, S3 to 7 equation. And out of this 7 equation, he could able to do the computation, which takes the less amount of time. Okay, less amount of time, and nobody knows. He himself does not know. Actually, I wrote an email to him, but I did not get any reply from him. So just trying to understand from where he got this, and I also did little, not much research, but tried to find out what exact. From where he got, but I could not able to find where he got. But some, our textbook author says that it's a mysterious. It is somewhat mysterious how Strassen discovered this equation, but you can easily verify that they work correctly. Okay, Goodrich is our standard textbook in our MTech and BTech course. So this is the it just made me wonder from where this 7 equation came. So I wanted to do little more work on this, and but this is a part of I call it as a creative thinking, because we don't know from where it came and suddenly it came up. Rather than the Sushant, my colleague, was talking about the flash of knowledge. So very much they come in this domain actually. So but I was trying to look in terms of computation and mathematics. So I think this is all of my talk, and here I try to define some problems to work on. So I try to kind of draw the borderline and try to. So computing machine, if you see, it's a algorithmic. So it has got step-by-step methods. Whereas the human mind, actually what I could find out from this Strassen thing, it really worked little bit intuitively. है ना. So of course it's we have to properly understand what exactly we mean by intuitions and all those things. So and this computing machine, basically I am talking about logic here. So it's a deductive. Deductive means, suppose if you have given certain statements, you draw conclusion from those limited number of statement only. Okay. Whereas this guy is not limited actually. Even if you have got 10 statements, probably you could draw something else out of those 10 also. So what we call it is a creative, and these are rule based. Of course, these both are, which means that it has got certain axioms. Whereas probably mind is not that. Okay. And not limited to that, we can say in that way. And this is a syntactic. So probably I have to, this is very much a computer science term. So syntactic, and whereas this is semantic. Syntactic means, let's say I say the doctor, the dog is a doctor. Okay. So this English language of this is actually very much correct. However, this does not make any sense, right? So how a dog can be a doctor. So this is what we mean by semantic, but it has got little more deeper meaning as well. So human mind understand that. However, computer actually we don't know how we make him understand, or at least right now nobody have any given such kind of conclusion that this guy also understand the semantic. And another point, this is very much spiritual. I have just written it like that. Computing machine does only the how. How part means, what are the different steps we need. Whereas the human mind actually, that there is something, curiosity is there. There's very much to a child also, who does not know all the stuffs. He also looks for certain things. Where is my father? Where is my mother, etc., and all those things. So in fact, we ourselves, inquire so many things. So that comes why part. Why is like this thing? Why this is like this thing? So that's what. And another thing is, so this is deterministic. Deterministic, what I mean by is, if now currently I am standing here, so I know, after 5 minutes what I am going to do. And in fact, you can also you can also tell if you know my previous history and all. However, in the human mind, probably you cannot actually. So that's what is the free will is all about. If you ask, even if I tell you, all my childhood history detail, and I ask you where the next step of mine will be, probably you will not be able to tell actually. So in our department, we have done some experiment of taking a signature of the same person. So in every signature actually differs, and even the same person, if you ask him to sign 100 times, there is a uniqueness in each and every signature. So that's what I am trying to capture the free will in that way. Okay, maybe some other way might be there. Also, there is another experiment. We ask the same person to walk from here to there multiple number of times, and many steps actually varies. However, in robot case, probably he will do the same walk and again and again and again. So this is what. So I'm trying to work on this. So so this is the thing. This is the one set of problems I'm thinking to work on, and there is other. This will be looking at non-computational nature of mathematical thinking, and probably we'll be doing a lot of study of the scripture to understand more about the mind. Okay, na? So this is my last slide. So concluding here. Yeah, please.
You have said the computing machine
Yeah.
have the nature of, may I see the chart? This one and this one here.
Yeah.
Deterministic.
Yeah, deterministic.
Maybe the computer machine is of servant-like nature, and whereas human mind is master-like nature.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. So in one sense, probably, of course, I don't have an answer for this.
Because a servant always say yes.
Right.
Whatever the master asks him to do.
Right.
But how? That he will ask.
Right.
So it is a master-like, servant-like nature. And why question always comes and what question always comes in the master mind.
Okay.
That's why human mind is the master.
Okay.
Thanks.
So maybe we can investigate a little more into that actually, whether how this master and servant relationship works. ठीक है? Thank you for your suggestion.
I am lying. The sentence is false. Does it mean I am not lying?
So the very sentence that you have said that I am lying, that itself is really true. You are saying, you are lying. Okay. Now, if you, so what I am saying is you try to assign the truth value to that. So in the logic we have got two truth value. One is true and another is false. And one statement can have only two values, either true and false. Now let's assign the value to that statement and let's see what is coming out. Let's say I am lying, and you assign the truth value to true. So what exactly you are saying? So I found it's you are contradicting yourself. So that's what I could understand. And but if you say that I am lying and you are assigning the truth value to false, then the very statement you said that I am lying itself is a true actually. So probably you cannot assign the false value. So that's what my understanding is. ठीक है ना? So you can read actually Burton Russell set theory thing, and there are many such kind of statements. There is called Barber's argument. So it has got also very similar kind of statements, and there are it is like catching your hand by yourself. So that's very much like this. So you will not be able to do it. So and you will be doing the same thing kind of. So another analogy the people gave is a snake beating his own tail. So and not able to reach exactly. So you will be revolving around that. So it is very much like this. What is metaphysical world actually? I do not know, but what exactly it means is that it is not this physics. It is not this whatever we are seeing. There is something beyond that. But how you see that and yeah. So here is answer.
Research papers and you collect data from 10 research papers and you are doing analysis now and then you are coming up with something else. So basically you are dealing with 10 different data sets and whatever you are doing finally it is called as meta-analysis, considering so many things. Similarly, if you come to the organisms also, suppose in our gut intestine we have so many microbes. If you do genome sequencing of so many microbes at a time, that means we are doing so many genomes at a time, genotyping, that is called as metagenomics. So we are considering several genomes at a time. Similarly, if we apply same analogy, the metaphysical world, suppose this is one physical world, there may be somewhere else another galaxy, there's another physical. So if we combine all those universal galaxies, that's the metaphysics. Thank you.
Thank you.
So well, thanks to the current speaker. And we'll invite our next speaker. His name is Arnab Sanyal, and he is a fellow of insurance and engagement assistant in LIC. Aldia branch, and his topic of this presentation is repairment of ozone layer with the help of Markandeya Purana. It's very interesting. So let us hear Mr. Arnab Sanyal.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Thank you all very much for giving me the opportunity to share my thinking in front of people who can get the extract out of my speech. Albert Einstein once said, education is not the knowledge but the training of mind to think. Before I say about my sadhana or quest for spirituality, my introduction is needed. I am a 39-year-old employee of Life Insurance Corporation of India. I am a patient of CIDP also, means in short form it's a peripheral neuropathy. At the time of getting the bite of the disease, I surrendered myself to the Almighty and started reading myself spiritual books available in the society. One day I started reading Sri Sri Chandi, the Devi of power or energy. Truly speaking, I have got so many findings or upalabdhis through which I am working on to prove these spiritual books are nothing but the precursor of modern science. Rather, I can say the field where the modern science have not yet found out the truth. We should take help of those guidance given in the spiritual thoughts thousands of years ago. Regarding my education, I am not much qualified to debate with the people here who are either eminent or aspiring to be eminent. But the thing I must share with all, reading Sri Sri Chandi has opened my eyes for viewing things which I couldn't even thought to see. I don't have my lab to prove my thoughts, neither I have expertise on the technology, nor I have the financial backup to prove them. Today I have got a platform where at least many experts will listen to my way of thinking and help me to prove those for saving mankind. Here I am closing the introductory part. Now I will discuss the only 2 slokas from where I have got the thought of repairing the ozone hole. My thoughts compelled me to check the modern researches worldwide. After some time, I saw the modern science has almost went nearer to the spiritual thoughts, the slokas of Sri Sri Chandi. In the 52nd to 54th slokas of Narayani Stuti, the 11th chapter of Sri Sri Chandi, the goddess Chandi said, though it has been written spelled in English, I am speaking the original accent. Jada runakya sroilakke mahabadhang karisati tadahang brahmarang rupang kritva asankhya satpadam त्रैलोक्यस्य हितार्थाय बधिष्यामि महासुरम भ्रामरीति च मांग लोकस्तदा स्तोष्यन्ति सर्वतः इदः यथा जदा बाधा दानवोत्था भविष्यति. The meaning of it: when the Arunasura will attack Tribhuvana, means universe or world, I shall take the rupa of Bhramara. Bhramara means the bee, and kill the Arun Asur for the benefit of world, like through Tribhuvana. For that, people all will worship me as the goddess Bhramari. So far the slokas are spelled according to my explanation is that Sura means Sur, tolerable frequency. Asura means intolerable frequency, the frequency which doesn't shoot to our body. Arun Asura, there lies the truth, the UVB frequency emitted by the sun. Arun means sun, Bhramara means bee, having humming sound of 300 Hz. It actually ranges from 250 to 300 Hz. Asankhya Bhramara, that's what in the sloka it is written. Asankhya Bhramara means innumerable Bhramar. there comes two probability. Number one, resonance will be produced, or number two, ultrasonic frequency will be produced. If 300 Hz frequency of numerous bees starts at the same time, resonance will take place. If multiple of 300 Hz frequency comes out from a single body, ultrasound will be produced. Multiple of 300, like I say, 700 into 300 Hz means 21 kilohertz, and that is ultrasound. In the support of the first probability, Bhagavan in Gita says the only way of moksha is the Sankirtana. That means so many people comes in a place and chant the same, spell the same chant at the same time, like Hari Om, Om Sri Krishna. At the same time, if we spell out the same thing, resonance comes out. Modern discoveries are in the support of the second opinion, ultrasound. As we know, the ultraviolet B of sun is mostly absorbed by the stratospheric ozone layer, reducing the effect on human, animals and the whole environment. Now, the most vital thinking of scientists is to repair the ozone hole or ozone depletion as it threatening the mankind. In the year 2004, it has been viewed by some scientists, two of those are S. Pakarek and R. Balek, that ozone generation increases in the presence of ultrasound, and that data I have collected. I can give you the URL iop.iop.org/article/10-10-108/0022-37/8/009/PDF. And the second one, partial electrical breakdown of air causes fresh air smell of ozone during the thunderstorms or around high voltage area. This breakdown occurs, this data I have got from Wikipedia, electrical breakdown. These breakdowns occurs within a gas when dielectric strength of gas is exceeded. Can we conclude like that ozone layer can be enhanced by sending ultrasound in electromagnetic field? I am not a student of pure science. I am a layman of Life Insurance Corporation, working there as a clerk there. Though I have tried to equate this. Number 1, dielectric strength is variable to ozonation, where ultrasound is constant. Number B, ultrasound variable proportionate to ozone generation, where dielectric strength is constant. So the equation is ultrasound is equal to ozone generation, where EM field is variable. Electromagnetic field, where electromagnetic field is variable, like it is changing its poles. If ultrasound sent to the stratosphere, ozone generation can be enhanced. The numerous Brahmari may be 700, as there are 700 slokas in Saptasati Pathanga of Chandi. There are 700 slokas. NASA's finding about the sound of sun inside the heliosphere was around 300 Hz, and at interstellar space it is around 2 to 3 kilohertz. Does not it put a light on our thinking? If I have said any foolish thing, please forget me and my theory. But if you think that I have opened the door of your mind, then please come with me to prove that, because other 697 slokas are to be decoded. Thanks, and I have.
I have a basic question. Is this from Markandeya Purana or Chandi Purana or something like that?
Chandi is a part of Markandeya Purana.
Chandi is part of India.
This is well available in market.
Sorry?
This is well available in the market, but someone is needed to decode that.
Thank you. Any other question?
I have one question. So, if you could generate ultrasounds on the, I understood from something sense. So, if you could generate lot of content so that your hypothesis is to prevent ozone layer depletion.
Not to prevent, to regenerate
Okay,
ozone.
regenerate ozone.
Yeah.
That means you are
Because
creating.
in the ozone layer, ozone hole, there is
There is not that there is no amount of ozone, but the layer is thinned, and
You want to create more ozone.
yeah.
You can fill that gap.
Yeah, actually I have got.
Don't you think it will affect our other species?
look, all the issues regarding nowadays.
Scientists are basically around the ozone layer depletion and ozone hole, because global warming, global dimming are the issues. So I think this will not damage others. It will protect the whole universe, as I have thought.
Yeah.
But pariksha prarthaniyam.
Many sounds are there, then upon joining like 300 hertz multiplied by some numbers, it will become ultrasound and all. But I don't know.
No,
how
so
we-
many same object of numerous.
Quantity, if it generates sound of same frequency, resonance will come out. At that time ultrasound will not be produced, I think so. Ultrasound produces when a body generates or creates above 20,000 hertz.
So how you said that in many bees and like by Sankirtana, that will help to generate.
Actually, I have not said, all are said in Chandi.
So how to understand that I want to talk about.
Like,
My previous friend said, thought is an unique nature. Like, maybe I am not claiming that I have for the first time I have thought it, but the thing is that the thought came into my mind where Devi Chandi is saying, when the demon of Arun, means sun, will come to disturb the world, she will take the rupa of Brahmari. Brahmari means lady, female bee, and its humming sound is 240 to 300 hertz. Actually, I am working on this to find out the truth out of Chandi. It's about 5 to 6 years.
Sir, actually in physics we have studied that many sound waves are there upon superimposition. They combine together, but that is not like multiplication and together it will create ultrasound and all. And then again, if we go deeper, just I am sharing, not a question. If we go deeper into that now, to generate ultrasound and by that we want to create ozone. I don't know how much significant it will be to refill again, and it will create that much sufficient amount of ozone to for entire globe.
I have cited one example where the research had been done, where
two or three scientists have made in the practical truth in the laboratory, where in the presence of ultrasound, ozone production or ozonation is enhanced, but I don't have any idea how much ozone will come out of in a single process of our testing, but the testing is requested, or I am trying to take help of IIT. If the IIT people think that some truth is inside in my theory, they will come out to help. Thank you very much.
So that's about today's session now. And, we don't have third speaker.
thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Sunil Mantirio to present the images to the speakers. Now I request His Holiness Krishna Mangala Swami to present the movement to Dr. Sunil. Thank you. The next